The following segment is sponsored by Navy Mutual. Hampton Roads is home to a lot of military families that often face tough decisions, especially when it comes time to prepare for deployment. Today, we're going to learn some tips about getting your affairs in order before deployment with Ron Schilling, Senior Educator with Navy Mutual. Thank you, Ron, for joining us.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate you having me.
What are some things that we can do to prepare for deployment?
Well, you know, going on deployment is tough. It can be tough for both the service member and the family left at home. You know, in my career, I did seven deployments, one of them as a single sailor and the other 6 married with children, and they both provided unique challenges for me. Preparing for that deployment, you're not only going to be working longer hours for the military, you're also going to have to take care of the home front. And on the home front, you got 3 major concerns that you really want to address: your family, your finances, and your legal concerns.
So out of family, finances, and legal, where do you start?
I always recommend the family for sure.
Okay.
You know, and communication is key. In today's day and age, you know, we have cell phones, text messages, so we get that instant communication back and forth. You know, going on deployment, it's going to be different. So managing those expectations is important. There's a lot of times you might not be able to respond for hours, days, or weeks through email or phone calls. So, you know, inevitably you're going to miss that anniversary call, Mother's Day, Father's Day, you know, stuff along those lines, kids' birthdays. So preparing the family for that ahead of time can lower that frustration level. I know for me, when I was deployed, you know, every time I called my wife, it seemed she was in the grocery store with both my kids, and it was, you know, just kind of ended up as a frustrating call by the end of it. So definitely start with the communication side. And then, you know, make sure they know who the Red Cross is. In case there is a medical emergency or something at home, they can contact the Red Cross. They'll get in touch with the sailor out on deployment. On top of that, always encourage them to get in touch with the ombudsman coordinators and the family readiness groups. They're a great support group for the spouses and the families back here. You know, if you're out of contact, a lot of times they kind of know what's going on, can provide information. They're also a support group, you know, for your children, a lot of great activities to do during cruise, and then as they're getting home, you know, kind of preparing the family for that. And that inevitable child care issue that comes up out of the blue, they can help with that. And then finally, make sure your family's ID cards are current. They're not going to expire when you're on deployment.
Okay. Those are some great tips. I actually wish I had this conversation before I was going on deployment. This is actually a great conversation to have before going. Once you take care of the family, I would assume next is finances?
Absolutely. You know, finances can be a big challenge. Again, communication is key. Deployments are tough for sure, but one of the advantages of going on a deployment is the ability to make, you know, additional income, whether that's sea pay, flight deck pay, hostile fire pay, you know, and that can be anywhere from a few $100s to thousands of dollars a month. What's your plan to do with that money? You know, sitting down with your spouse, coming up with that financial plan is critical. Do you plan on investing into your retirement with TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan? Do you plan on contributing to SDP, the Savings Deposit Program, where you can deposit or contribute $10,000 while in a combat zone and get a guaranteed 10% return, which is pretty phenomenal. You know, maybe other families have it, you know, goals, I want to save up for my car or rework on the house, something along those lines. But making sure that we have those same goals in mind is pivotal. And then I always recommend you do a monthly check-in. You know, hey, are we meeting our goals? Are we short? Are we, what's going on? Maybe we had an issue with the car, something along those lines. And then the next area of concern is going to be evaluating your life insurance needs. While you're in, you have that $400,000 in coverage with SGLI. But for some families, that might not be enough, depending on your, you know, child care needs, mortgage, stuff like that. So if you find yourself needing additional coverage, Navy Mutual offers term life insurance policies that'll extend through your military career, and they don't have restrictions and war clauses in line with deployments. So another great option there. And then finally, with your finances, make sure that you've updated your beneficiaries for all your financial accounts, your SGLI, TSP, stuff along those lines.
And lastly, what type of legal scenarios or documents should families be familiar with before going on deployment?
Two most important I recommend is always the will and the power of attorney. Okay, the military is usually really good about helping facilitate that, whether it's with base legal or the command has folks come over to help you set up that will. The will is going to make sure that your assets are distributed how you see fit and who's going to be guardians of your children. The last thing we want is the state to determine that for us. And then the power of attorney, that's going to assist, provide that document for the members sitting at home or being at home that can act in your financial best interest. So those are two critical ones. The other two that I do recommend is having a healthcare proxy and a living will. That healthcare proxy is someone who's going to help make decisions for you if you're unable. If you're in a coma, something like that, they can help make those medical condition or decisions. So always make sure that that's someone you trust. And then the living will, that's a document where, hey, these are the certain conditions that I want to have followed. Like for my father, had a do not resuscitate in his living will, so his wishes were followed that way.
What other ways can Navy Mutual help families prepare for deployment?
Well, we have a lot of great information on our website. They can go to NavyMutual.org and find all kinds of information on deployments and other educational and financial material. And they can always reach out to our education department. Myself or our coworkers will be happy to assist. And they can follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well. We offer a lot of blogs weekly and monthly that will provide them a lot of great information as well.
Ron, thank you so much for joining us here on Pulse 757.
My pleasure. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it.